headlines of this hour on VTV News. Prime Ministers appreciate the Chinese business contributions to economic ties with Vietnam. And Hoi An pilots volume-based weights fees. In our world news, U.S. bans imports of Russian uranium.
Broadcasting from Hanoi, the capital of Vietnam. VTV News starts right now.
Good morning. It is 8 a.m. local time in Hanoi, and you're watching VTV News. I'm Huyen Tan with the top stories. The Chinese business community plays a very important role in making economic, trade, and investment cooperation both a bright spot and an important pillar in the mutual relationship between the two countries. Prime Minister Phie made this statement while chairing a roundtable discussion with a delegation of 19 Chinese groups operating in the green economy and digital economy.
In his speech, Prime Minister Phie thanked and applauded the practical and effective contributions made by Chinese businesses to the nation's socio-economic development in particular, as well as to the comprehensive strategic partnership between both sides over recent times. He affirmed that the party and state of Vietnam always considers developing friendly ties with China an objective requirement, a strategic choice, and a top priority as part of the nation's overall foreign policy.
In recent times, through the combined efforts of both sides, joint relations have been growing steadily, substantially, and comprehensively, especially after exchange visits by both nations' senior leaders. Vietnam pledges to ensure political stability, maintain independence, sovereignty, unity and territorial integrity, social order and safety to enable investors to feel secure in doing long-term business in Vietnam.
In the spirit of harmonious benefits, shared risks, Prime Minister Phie said the Vietnamese government is committed to ensuring the legitimate rights and interests of foreign investors, including those from China.
On Tuesday, Prime Minister Phie welcomed Ahmad Reza Radan, the commander of the Iranian Law Enforcement Command. During the meeting, the Prime Minister proposed increasing the exchange of high-level delegations at all levels and enhancing cooperation in various fields, including culture, tourism, education, and training. He's also emphasized the importance of people-to-people exchanges and collaboration in emerging sectors, such as the green economy, digital economy, and circular economy. The Prime Minister praised the successful talks between the Vietnamese Ministry of Public Security and the Iranian Law Enforcement Command regarding security and defense cooperation. He further suggested strengthening cooperation in areas such as combating transnational crime, counter-terrorism, and maintaining security and order. Regarding economic and trade relations, the Prime Minister urged efforts to boost bilateral trade turnover. He called on Iran to create favorable conditions for expanding the market and importing Vietnamese goods, particularly agricultural and aquatic products, as well as halal products from Vietnam. Vietnam and Iran have agreed to increase delegation exchanges at all levels to further bilateral cooperation in security and order. On Tuesday, at a meeting in Hanoi between a Minister of Public Security To Lam and a high-ranking delegation from Iran's Law Enforcement Command, led by its commander Ahmad Reza Radan, the two sides pledged to promote information sharing and professional coordination. They also agreed to intensify coordination in handling all types of transnational crimes and those involving citizens of the two countries. They pledged not to allow any organization or individual to take advantage of one country's territory to operate against the other, and agreed to step up collaborations in training to improve professional capabilities and a learning of the Persian and Vietnamese languages. General Tô Lâm and Brigadier General Raiden then signed a Memorandum of Understanding, or MOU, on cooperation between the two agencies. Continuing the 33rd session under the chairmanship of Trần Thanh Mẫn, Standing Vice Chairman of the National Assembly. The National Assembly Standing Committee gave comments on the draft law on fire prevention, fighting, and rescue. More to follow.
National Assembly deputies proposed studying and supplementing regulations on fire prevention and firefighting infrastructure in accordance with industry plans, regional plans, and provincial planning. It is especially necessary to come up with solutions to prevent and minimize damage when incidents occur in small alleys.
There are still many civil works that cannot ensure fire prevention and fighting. For example, houses in deep alleys, which are too small and dangerous, hindering fire prevention and rescue efforts. So it is necessary to have more rules in civil design construction works to guarantee this.
In recent times, it has become clear that when a fire occurs in residential areas, the roads are too small to allow firefighting equipment to enter. There are no regulations on this issue in planning law. We need new law designed specifically for this.
Propaganda and prevention work are key. There are fire extinguishers in every household, but not many people know how to use them. When there is a fire, handling it on the spot is the most important.
Commenting on the National Target Program on Cultural Development for the period of 2025 to 2035, the National Assembly Standing Committee emphasized it is necessary to clarify the principle of program development right from the beginning to avoid overlapping.
The government proposed that revenue from the cultural industry should account for 7% of GDP by 2030. I think it's a little bit too low.
We will discuss more on the revenue target for the cultural industry to come up with the best plan to submit in the upcoming 7th National Assembly meeting.
The National Assembly Standing Committee also commented on a draft resolution amending and supplementing the National Assembly's resolution on piloting the urban government model and a number of specific development mechanisms and policies for Da Nang and Nghệ An provinces.
On Tuesday, participants of a meeting in Hanoi discussing gold market management measures emphasized the need for synchronized solutions to stabilize the gold market. They discussed management solutions such as increasing supply and enhancing inspection, monitoring, and improving the handling of violations. Deputy Prime Minister Lê Minh Khái requested relevant ministries and sectors assign officials to join a delegation for investigating the gold market and gold trading activities. The investigation will focus on clarifying and strictly handling violations related to gold speculation and price manipulation. The Deputy Prime Minister urged pertinent ministries, sectors, and localities to promptly implement measures to address the current shortcomings of the gold market towards stabilizing the price of gold bars. He demanded that an inspection decision must be announced no later than the end of this week. Vietnam-China economic investment trade cooperation will be an important driving force in fields such as green economic development and the digital economy. As of March 2024, China is the 6th largest investor in Vietnam, with a total registered capital of more than $27.6 billion. Attracting high-tech projects from China is truly an opportunity for Vietnam to improve the quality and efficiency of FDI attraction.
This is the first overseas electric motorbike manufacturing and assembly plant of this Chinese enterprise. Built in 2019, the factory has an area of 50,000 square meters with a capacity of 500,000 vehicles per year. The enterprise is investing in building a second factory.
In the future, we will build a research and development center for the entire Southeast Asia region in Vietnam. Products produced in Vietnam are not only for domestic consumption but also for export.
according to the Foreign Investment Department under the Ministry of Planning and Investment. In 2023, China invested $4.47 billion, with 707 projects, being the fourth largest investor in Vietnam. In the first 3 months of this year, Chinese investors ranked second among 67 investment partners in Vietnam. According to Fitch Ratings, Chinese FDI capital flows into Vietnam have continuously increased over the past decade. Previously, most projects were small-scale, labor-intensive, and caused environmental pollution. But now, there is a strong increase in investment flows in the green economy and digital economy in line with the general development trend of the two economies.
In recent decades, China has risen to become a technological nation on par with developed countries in the world. Therefore, if we can attract high-tech capital from China, it will be very beneficial for Vietnam's development.
The surge of FDI from China would help Vietnamese domestic companies engage deeper into the supply chain of Chinese enterprises.
Of 40 to 50% of raw materials and components purchased in Vietnam, and 20 to 30% of our suppliers are Vietnamese businesses. The rest are provided by Korean and Chinese businesses.
China has become one of the leading countries in the green and digital economies. If Vietnam can take advantage of the opportunity to welcome FDI from China and from other countries, this will be a good opportunity for Vietnam to leapfrog.
Coming up next on VTV News. Urgent support for Vietnamese traders and workers in Poland shopping center blaze. And Hoi An pilots volume-based waste fees. Welcome back to VTV News. Now, urgent support has been provided for those affected by the fire at a Mary Wilska shopping center in Warsaw, Poland. The fire resulted in the near total destruction of 600 stalls operated by almost 400 Vietnamese small businesses at the Mary Wilska shopping center. In response, the Vietnamese Association in Poland, alongside the Business Association, Women's Association, and various associations, has formed a community support committee. This committee is mobilizing the Vietnamese community in Poland and neighboring countries to donate funds and provide emotional support to those affected by the fire. Ambassador Ha Wang Hai announced that the Vietnamese embassy in Poland will increase its consular services, adding an additional weekly reception session to handle documents for those impacted by the disaster. VNeID becomes a single app for public administrative services from July 1st, according to the government's direction. This change aims to simplify procedures for individuals while also facilitating operational management. In the highland communes of Quảng Ninh province, local ethnic people continue to experience difficulties using VNeID accounts. Our report is from Dien Sa commune, Dien Yên district, where ethnic groups account for 96% of the population.
This woman, like many locals in this highland area, does not have a smartphone. A police officer guides her to register for a Level 2 electronic identity account on his phone. He also tells her all the public services she can use on this application.
The officer gave me very specific instructions. We can get public service with this VNeID application without having to carry related documents. The party and state is promoting digital transformation in public administration, which is very good.
Most households share 1 or 2 smartphones in the family. In such cases, the commune police have to use their phones to help them register and give them step-by-step instructions.
Apart from the lack of equipment, difficulties also arise from the lack of local awareness on the importance of electronic identification accounts.
My phone was lagging, so I deleted the app. I reinstalled after listening to the officers. It's convenient to have all documents anywhere I go.
Dien Sa commune is home to 318 households, of which 96% of the residents are part of ethnic groups. After a year of implementation, the Level 2 electronic identification installation rate reached over 75%. From May this year, the commune will cooperate with telecommunications companies to receive free 4G SIM cards and smartphone discounts.
The locals find paper results of public services more reliable than electronic versions. We will continue to implement programs to change people's mindsets and persistently carry out instructions.
The district strives for 100% non-cash payment rate in public service transactions and payment. We will also work on increasing the use of digital signatures of individuals and businesses.
Tian Yen District is promoting the implementation of online public services at levels 3 and 4, which address essential procedures related to land, electricity, water, and telecommunications.
Given the enormous potential of the global carbon credit market, Da Nang City has proposed a pilot sale of carbon credits. The goal is to foster a green economy and generate revenue for reinvestment. According to estimates, the industry sector has the greatest potential for emission reduction, followed by the services, commerce, and civil use. The emission reduction potential of these sectors by 2030 is approximately 860,000 tons of carbon. By 2050, it will be 26 million tons of carbon. The total forest area in Da Nang City exceeds 63,000 hectares, of which over 43,000 hectares are natural forests. Hoi An is currently the leading locality in the country on environmental protection. The city's authority has banned plastic bags in the Cù Lao Chàm Biosphere Reserve in Tân Hiệp Commune for the last 10 years. Additionally, after the success of waste classification at the household source, the locality is piloting a volume-based waste via collection model.
More than 450 households on the Nguyễn Tri Phương Street, Cẩm An Ward are the first in the country to pilot the model of paying waste fee collection based on its volume and weight. These households are now classifying waste into organic and inorganic waste into waste disposal bags right at home.
There is so much waste discharged in the city. We should classify waste at source to minimize discharge into the environment.
Hoi An has piloted this waste fee collection model since the end of 2023. Since its implementation, the amount of landfill waste has been reduced to about 30%.
Collecting waste fees based on volume discharged means the more you release, the more you have to pay. It aims to the fairness.
Since 2012, this tourist city has implemented waste classification at the source. So far, 60 to 80% of local households have followed this model. Vietnam's 2020 environmental protection law requires households and individuals to implement a system where households pay a solid waste collection fee based on its volume and weight by the end of this year. However, up to this point, Hoi An is the only locality that has piloted this new waste fee collection model.
Summer is the peak season for domestic tourism in Vietnam. With rising airfare prices, many Vietnamese tourists are opting to drive their cars or take the train instead. In the first quarter of this year, the railway industry saw 1.68 million passengers, a 13.6% increase compared to the same period last year. This rise in road and rail travel not only alleviates pressure on the aviation sector, but also creates opportunities for developing new tour routes. Many tourists choose nearby destinations accessible by road. Recognizing this trend, travel companies are diversifying their offerings by incorporating car and train travel to reduce costs and boost domestic tourism. In May, the number of train passengers is estimated to be at 600,000, a 16% increase over the same period last year. This shift in travel preferences is paving the way for localities to develop new tourism products. Hanoi has recently recognized an additional 15 craft villages as local traditional craft villages. This move brings the total number of craft villages and villages with crafts in the city to nearly 1,500. These craft villages contribute both to local economic development and to attracting visitors to the city. With the recent recognition, local authorities will enhance the promotion of craft villages' products and help them realize their full potential. This is a typical day in the bamboo weaving village of Vạn Phúc Commune in Thanh Thi District, Hanoi. Nu doesn't know when this craft was established in their community. She only knows that it, along with a few acres of fields, has helped her raise 5 kids. Now she finds joy in seeing her neighbors daily, each engaged in their tasks and earning a growing income.
I'm always motivated and happy. On Sundays, the kids help us when they don't have school. We have faith that this craft will never be lost.
For nearly 20 years, Thanh has been supplying materials to villagers for production and then purchasing their products. Over 100 households produce about 10,000 products monthly for both domestic and international markets. There have been difficult periods when products couldn't be sold, causing many to abandon the craft.
Even if we can't find a job anywhere else, this craft still brings in money, so we can support our children and grandchildren and pay the bills.
Bamboo woven products have the advantage of being made from bamboo, an eco-friendly material. Therefore, they are popular domestically and have also been exported to international markets. Vạn Phúc, along with 14 other villages, has recently been recognized as a traditional craft village in Hanoi. This recognition provides an opportunity for the locality to invest resources, revive the craft, and further expand export markets.
We are reviving old and traditional products and finding a market for them. We also invite artisans to pass on the trade to younger generations.
We have proposed allocating approximately 3,000 square meters of land outside the residential area to support craft villages. The area outside the dike, far from the residential area, will be a specialized space for craft development.
1/3 of the population in Vạn Phúc Commune is engaged in bamboo weaving. Bamboo woven baskets and flower baskets are associated with all the joys and sorrows of the people of Vạn Phúc. But beyond that, there is a sense of pride, as the bamboo weaving craft has been recognized as a craft village of Hanoi. Coming up next in our world news. U.S. bans imports of Russian uranium. And OpenAI launches new AI assistant with a promising real-time conversation. Now moving on to our world news. U.S. President Joe Biden signed into law on Monday a bill that will prohibit U.S. imports of irradiated, low-enriched uranium from Russia. Enriched uranium is the main fuel for nuclear power plants. Russia is the world's largest supplier of this energy source. The bipartisan bill will ban uranium imports from Moscow beginning 90 days after its enactment. It will provide waivers until 2028 for utilities that would be forced to shut down nuclear reactors once Russian suppliers are cut off. This act aims at reducing and ultimately eliminating U.S.'s reliance on Russia for civilian nuclear power. According to the Russian ambassador, the insufficient national enrichment capacity will harm the United States' own economy. Meanwhile, Moscow is still exporting uranium to other countries. India and Iran have signed a 10-year contract to develop and operate the Iranian port of Chabahar. Chabahar Port is a strategic transportation route that connects the Indian Ocean and the Persian Gulf to the Caspian Sea and northern Europe. It is the Iranian port that is the closest to India and is located in the open sea, providing easy and secure access for large cargo ships. Chabahar Port offers India an alternative route for trade with Afghanistan and Central Asia, bypassing Pakistan's land access to these regions. Moreover, Chabahar is also an integral component of the International North-South Transport Corridor, a 7,200-kilometer multimodal transportation route connecting India with Iran, Azerbaijan, Russia, Central Asia, and Europe. Nissan Motors and other companies in Japan are pouring millions of US dollars into developing solid-state batteries. This new battery type is expected to replace the lithium-ion version that currently power almost all the world's electric vehicles. Nissan Motors aims to begin using this next-generation battery in electric vehicles in 2028. Other Japanese automakers are also rushing to develop solid-state batteries. This development will boost the battery market and the transition to electric vehicles, an area which Japan has been slow to join compared to other countries. Compared to their lithium-ion counterparts, solid-state batteries promise higher output, longer lifespans, and less risk of catching fire. Mass producing them, however, remains a challenge. So far, only smaller batteries used in wearable devices or robots are produced at scale. ChatGPT maker OpenAI announced on Monday the release of a new AI model called GPT-4o. This new model is capable of realistic voice conversation and able to interact across text and vision. This launch is the company's latest move to stay ahead in a race to dominate emerging technology.
Now you've isolated the term with X on one side, and it looks like 3X equal 3.
The new audio capabilities enable users to speak to ChatGPT and obtain real-time responses with no delay, as well as interrupt ChatGPT while it is speaking. These are both hallmarks of realistic conversations that AI voice chatbots have not had until now. During a presentation on Monday, researchers used the updated AI model to coach through a math equation, analyze data on a graph, and provide real-time language translations, among other demonstrations.
Bingo! Go ahead and divide both sides by 3.
Okay, ChatGPT. I'm sharing with you the plot now. I'm wondering if you can give me a really brief one-sentence overview of what you see.
The plot displays smoothed average, minimum, and maximum temperatures throughout 2018, with a notable annotation marking a big rainfall event in late September.
GPT-4o provides GPT-4 level intelligence, but it is much faster, and it improves on its capabilities across text, vision, and audio. For the past couple of years, we've been very focused on improving the intelligence of these models, and they've gotten pretty good. But this is the first time that we are really making a huge step forward when it comes to the ease of use.
Hey, Chad, are you there? The new model will first roll out on Tuesday to customers of ChatGPT Plus and Team, and then to Enterprise later. It will also be available to free users of ChatGPT starting Monday, with usage limits. The model will be available in 50 languages and is also coming to the API so developers can start building with it.
Frankly, I'm feeling a little bit nervous.
Now let's move on to the weather forecast. And that's all the news we have for this hour. To rewatch our program, you can download our mobile app VTVgo or check out our YouTube channel VTV4Go. Thank you for watching and see you next time.